Good evening, everybody. This is DJ Vinyl Vertigo. Hi, VC. um, I don't have much of an agenda tonight. I just was listening to music tonight, and I pulled out a bunch of records by this one um, amazing singer-songwriter duo in the soul world. Um, I've just been doing a lot of soul recently. I'm not really a soul channel. I know people think I am, but I probably do a little bit of everything. But I do think that soul is not as celebrated sometimes in the VC on a regular basis. There's certain channels that do that, like Six Inch Pianist, Craig Danger, and Soul Disco, uh, Lady Soul. Oh my gosh, from Canada. Can't think of her name. Lady Miss Soul, I think it is. Um, but those are some of the, and there's also, oh, what's her name? Retro Musing or something Musing. Yeah, there's a couple of those. There's a few of those out there that tend to focus on soul music, and there's a few others that I'm not thinking of right now. But I just also want to thank people for doing the Soul Tag 2024 that I put out at the beginning of last month, and people are still doing it, and it's really great to see people coming up with their versions of that tag, which is really great. Thank you so much for participating in that. But I've been thinking about this duo for a long time. I've always loved them. Um, Even before they were a performing couple, they were a writing couple. They were a performing couple and became a writing couple, and then they became a performing couple again when their songs started selling. And I'm talking about Ashford and Simpson, Nicholas Ashford and Valerie Simpson. Nicholas Ashford was from, I believe, he was from California, and I know that Valerie Simpson was from the Bronx, New York. And they met in Harlem at a Baptist church, and they started writing songs together, and they fell in love. And they tried to get a career going as a singing duo, but they kind of failed at it a little bit, and they started writing for other people, working for an ex-ICAT. I don't remember her name right now, Joanne something. She used to be with the ICATs. And then they ended up going out west and writing songs for Motown for several years. And at that point, they decided they were tired of doing that. They wanted to get back out there and do their own thing as songwriters. But in the meantime, they wrote songs like "Reach Out and Touch Somebody's Hand." Um, they wrote "Ain't Nothing But a Maybe." Um, they wrote "Ain't No Mountain High Enough." Uh, they wrote. They wrote a lot of songs for like people like Tammy Terrell and Marvin Gaye, for Diana Ross. Someday We'll Be Together. I think she wrote that too. They wrote that too. But anyway, I'm not sure about that one. But anyway, later on they wrote "I'm Every Woman" for Shaka Khan. Big hit. That was a big hit for Shaka Khan, and also for later on for Whitney Houston. Um, but I've always loved their voices together. She has a very strong soprano, and Valerie Simpson, and Nicholas Ashford had this very strong and interesting, hauntingly interesting falsetto that he used, and he also went down into his regular uh, chest voice, but he would go back up to his head voice a lot and do a lot of falsetto. So they were both high voiced singers, and they complemented each other so well, and you felt the love. You knew they loved each other dearly. We lost Nicholas Ashford in 2010, I believe. I met him in New York on a bus on Second Avenue. I think I was going to work. I worked at this shoe store called Eric's, and I was on my way to work, and I was taking a bus there, and he got on the bus. I guess he was running to go to an agent or something. I don't know, whatever he was doing. And I'm like, Nicholas Ashford's on a freaking city bus? And I went over and sat next to him. I said, dude, what are the odds that I would see one of my idols on a city bus in New York City? I said, I just have to shake your hand. You have written some of the greatest songs. You and your wife have written some amazing songs. And we talked going all the way uptown. And he was a really nice guy. Really, really pleasant, very easy to speak to. So That's a great memory, and that's some things that you can, if you have a good eye in New York City, you can bump into a lot of people. I'm sure it's like that in LA as well. You can bump into so many people, and they just kind of like are passing through town and trying to like be incognito. But and I'm subtle, so it's people usually tend to want to talk all right with talking to me because I'm very subtle. I don't go, oh my god, I don't do that kind of stuff. I never did. I'm very very calm, and very like, oh, Nicholas Ashford, and cool. Anyway, so enough of that. I just want to show a couple of records of Ashford and Simpson. This is an early record of theirs called "I Want to Be Selfish," and I think that was one of the songs that they played on the radio for them. Everybody's Got to Give is another song, and Spoiled is another one. But another song that was done by, I know Diana Ross did it, and I believe Shaka Khan did it with Rufus on their first album, I believe, Ain't Nothing But a Maybe, which is a great song. And I didn't know they wrote that. I didn't know that until recently that they wrote that song, but it sounds like them. And this is what they looked like back in 1974, a very young couple. Yeah, and this is when I guess they had just left Motown and started trying to do their own thing again. They didn't really have a lot of big hits off this record, but then they went on to do other stuff. I don't have it in order, and I don't have all their records, but I have albums that I think that you would know. So I'm going to go through them really quickly. This is a record called, well, this is later. Let's do this. It's not in order, really. I'm just going to give you some ideas of, as if you ever see these in the stores, these are really fun to pick up. They're really good records. Some of them are really beat up. People used to wear these records out at parties and stuff, so you find a lot of these are really, really dinged really badly. You really have to clean them because these are party records. People used to love to dance to them and also to make out to them too because they have a lot of romantic music. This is called Stay Free. This has some really great songs, big songs for them. The song Nobody Knows the Inside. You know that song. And a song called Crazy. But also another song that was really big for them was called Found a Cure. Found a cure, trying. That one. Yeah, great song. That one. Those are my needle drops. I'm going to sing those things too. I'm a singer, you know that. Anyway, so this is a good record called Stay Free, Ashford and Simpson. Looking just as beautiful as ever, the two of them. They just made such a great couple. Incredible arrangements and music. And by the way, Valerie Simpson is an amazing piano player. And they had great session players on these records. People like Steve Gadd, Ralph McDonald, Eric Gale. A lot of people played on a lot of their records. I mean, they got some of the best session players and jazz people to play on their soul records and their, kind of dancey, disco-y kind of records at some points too. Back in the day, these two records were really big for me when I was in high school, and I had this girlfriend, and she and I we make out all the time to these records. That was in my straight days. Anyway, this record's called "Is It Still Good to You?" This has a lot of really big hits in there for them. If you were into R&B in the 70s, and this is 1978. This was. I was just graduating from high school, and the title track "Is It Still Good to You" is fabulous. It Seems to Hang On is a great kind of like low key dance song. The Debt is Satisfied. The Debt is Settled is another one. Another song, Get Up and Do Something, was a real dancey, real heavy duty dance hit on that one. Get Up and Do Something, yeah, it's great. No, I was actually singing Don't Cost You Nothing. Get Up and Do Something is a little bit different than that. And As Long as It Holds You in Its Power, that was the last song on this record. As Long as It Holds You in This Power. And they wrote all the songs, and they also, who produced this stuff? I think they produced their own stuff. Yeah, they produced all their own records. So they're great producers as well. And usually artists are not good at producing themselves, but I guess they had a lot of experience producing other people, so they were able to produce their own records and do them well. they weren't so in their own heads. They really knew how to do to flesh out their songs properly so that they would be very sellable, and also as well be things that could last us, test of time. Because their songs do last. Their songs are not dated. Maybe some of the recordings might sound a little bit dated because of some of the instrumentation that was used, but the songs themselves are not dated. You know what I mean? They still hold with the test of time. This is another record that my girlfriend and I used to really turn the lights down and listen to together, sitting on the floor of her bedroom and just like kind of hang out and lean on each other and just sing together. Send It. This is a really good record. We would dance in her room too. We were so corny. By Way of Love Express was the first song on this. By Way of Love Express, sending this message out to you. That was the one. Don't cost you nothing. That's it. Don't cost you nothing. Take a chance as you go. Don't cost you nothing. And then Send It. Send it. Send it up, up and away. Spread a little hope. Oh, I love that song. And then there's Top of the Stairs, which is another great song. And they have other songs, Too Bad and Waited Too Long, but there's also an instrumental on here called Bougie Bougie. And that's a real nice, kind of sensual, kind of almost French. Well, it sounds, the title's French, so it has this kind of European kind of Giorgio Moroder kind of sound to it, I think, anyway. But yeah, Send It. Ashford Simpson. Don't laugh at me. I'm feeling nostalgic right now. I'm loving this band, and this is a group that I think doesn't get a lot of love in the VC, and that I've seen anyway. And I don't think people remember. I think people do remember when they hear these songs, but they don't think of them as somebody who you can go back and say, "Hey, Ashford Simpson." I don't hear people saying that until you hear the songs, and then they go, "I love that song. I love that song." Well, it's Ashford and Simpson. We need to give them some props. Here is Ashford and Simpson in their sepia photograph here. This record's called So So Satisfied. I don't know this album as much. I think So So Satisfied was a single of theirs, but the song that I knew from this record is called Tried, Tested, and Found True. And that's kind of a dance song, kind of a middle beat dance song. It's not a high energy dance song, but it's got that kind of funky sound to it. It's really, really good. It kind of makes me think of like Salsa Orchestra or MFSB, that kind of arrangement and that kind of production. So Tried, Tested, and Found True is a song off this record called So So Satisfied. Really good stuff. Ashford and Simpson. I think Valerie Simpson does perform with her daughters. They had two daughters, and I think both of them sing. And I think her daughters sing with her now when she does do performances. I don't think she does a lot of touring and stuff, but she does performances probably out in California or something like that. All right, she does nightclub gigs now, Valerie Simpson, and she probably still writes songs for people because she's an amazing writer and arranger. This is called Street Opera. I don't know this album that well either, except that I do know the big hit on this was called Street Corner. On any street, boom, boom, da-da-da, any street corner. Yeah, that's a really good song. And they just wail on that one. So, Street Opera is the name of this record. This came out in 1982. So we're getting into the 80s now. And of course, I'm sure they had a greatest hits record and all that kind of thing. I think I have the double CD of that, a CD of the greatest hits. But I have some of these on CD, but I try to get these on vinyl. You can't always find them. I can't find Send It on CD, and it's not available anywhere. And then I have a funny feeling it's expensive because that's a really good record. But I have it on vinyl, so I'm fine with it. This is their live album called Performance, and you get a whole bunch of their really great stuff on here. They had that 80s look. She's wearing fringe. She's wearing those genie pants, like you can't touch this. Yeah. Can't touch this. Like that, yeah. I can't think right now. But anyway, performance. There we go. And that's them performing and singing and stuff. It starts out with Bushy Bushy, the instrumental, and then they come out singing Nobody Knows. And then they do a whole medley of some of their Motown songs that they wrote. You're all I Need. You're All I Need to Get By. They wrote that as well. Ain't Nothing Like the Real Thing. They wrote that as well. Ain't No Mountain High Enough. They wrote that. And then It Seems to Hang On, which comes from that Is It Still Good to You album, I believe. Yeah. Don't Cost You Nothing is another great song. I love Don't Cost You Nothing. You're the Landlord and the Keeper. That's another great one. They wrote Clouds. They wrote that for Shaka Khan. Clouds. Dun, 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 dun. Clouds. Yeah. They wrote The Boss for Diana Ross. Who was the boss? Is It Still Good to You is on here. And these are songs like Love Don't Make It Right, Love Don't Always Make It Right. I love it. Give Me Something Real. That's another great song. Found a Cure, another great song by them that they did. The fourth side has, it's 2 records. The fourth side has 3 new songs that I don't really remember. So I'm gonna have to listen to some of these tonight probably. It Shows in the Eyes. It's The Long Run and Come On Pretty Baby. And this again was produced by them, Ashford Simpson. A lot of self-production with this couple. So they're good business people. They probably have all their own publishing and everything. Here's the last record I have by them, and I'm still looking for more in good condition. I've seen other stuff of theirs, but in good condition is really hard to find, like I said. And this is an album called Musical Affair. That's really nice. And this is 1980. Okay, good artwork on that. And this one has on there Get Out Your Handkerchiefs. That's a really good one. And also Love Don't Always Make It Right is on this album. It's the first track on this album. That was a huge hit for them. Love Don't Always Make It Right. Yeah. Yeah. Love Won't Cure Your Appetite. Yeah, I love that. Yeah. So these guys really did something for romantic music back in the 70s and 80s, also in the 60s. They wrote a lot of really catchy songs, like I said, for Motown and for others, and ultimately for themselves. And other people have covered their stuff. I think they're an important entity in the soul world, in the songwriting world. They had it. They were just so good, and a lot of times they're like the unsung heroes of that a certain period in Motown and beyond. They're just a romantic. They wrote a lot of romantic songs, but fun romantic songs, and also some political stuff as well. So that's all I have to say about that. The other thing that I was listening to today, I was listening to earlier today. I listened to Jason Isbell. That's not a soul album, but it's like Shining. Southeastern. I finally cracked it open and listened to the whole thing. I haven't listened to this on vinyl ever. I've always listened to it on CD, and so this is the first time I heard it on vinyl, and it just opens up a whole new world for me. It's a great record. Jason Isbell, check him out. He's got a new one called Weather Vanes that I think is brilliant. It's one of his best records since this one. I really, really dig it. And also, I was listening to this earlier. This is the first thing I put on. Well, Jason was the first thing I put on, but the first thing I put on this evening was a gentleman by the name of DJ Rogers. This is somebody who definitely, I know I spoke about on my tag people who people should know about. A soul artist that people should know about, and I said was Maxwell. Well, my other choice was this one. This is DJ Rogers. DJ Rogers, he passed away in 2020. He lived in LA. He was a soul singer. He sang gospel, and he became a reverend later. He left the business and became a reverend. And his son is a hip hop artist. I don't know his son's name right off the bat, but on the back of this record, I never looked at it. He has like Leon Russell's pictures of Leon Russell here. There's pictures of Bobby Womack with him. It's pretty interesting to see this. They're not on the album, from what I understand, but these are all pictures, I guess, him on the road and stuff. And the record is called "Good to Be Alive." DJ Rogers. If you ever see any DJ Rogers, anything by him is amazing. If you like Aretha Franklin, if you like that kind of gospely tinged soul music, Sam Cooke, Otis Redding, that stuff. He's a little later than that period. He's more 70s, but just he can bring you to tears with his singing because he does that. He does almost that churchy kind of thing where he does that hiccup that sounds like he's crying. Ho 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 ho! He does that kind of thing when he's singing, and it gets you. I remember when I first heard say the song "Say You Love Me." It's just incredibly beautiful, pleading song about being loved by someone. He's dying for this woman to say, just say you love me, that kind of thing. Um, it's Good to Be Alive is a great song, the title track. But the song that really got me when I was a kid when I first heard this song, I was like 13 or whatever, and I remember listening to this song, the last song on this record, and it was on the radio on WBLS, and I heard the song and I actually listened to the lyrics. And sometimes when you hear a song, you just hear the song and you just like the beat, but this was a ballad, and so I actually sat and listened to the lyrics, and I listened. It was on the radio, and I heard it was a story. It's called Beulah Jean, about this girl that he remembered in school that everybody made fun of. She was this poor girl. She wore ratty clothes. She wasn't very pretty and all that. And he wondered what happened to her. And he found out that she died, and he never got to say, I'm sorry wasn't there for you. I'm sorry that I didn't stand up for you, that kind of thing. And he was just thinking about this girl. And it's one of those songs like Patches or whatever, but it just rips your heart out. And I remember I was like 13. I'm like sitting in my room, listening to the radio, hearing Beulah Jean, and I'm crying because the way he's singing at the end he's saying her name over and over and again, Beulah, Beulah Jean. I'm so sorry, Beulah, Beulah, and this guy he puts the drama in soul. He's amazing. DJ Rogers, catch it. He's really great. Anything by him, I would pick up. Some of his stuff, some of the tracks on certain albums of his, they have that kind of hokey kind of sound that I'm not really that into. But when he really gets down with the soul, when he really gets down with that gospel-y type of soul stuff, which is on every album, and it dominates most of his albums. There's always one or two little clunkers in there that I don't really care for. But boy, who does? Most people don't have flawless albums anyway. Like, get over it. So, but just even the ones that are not so great are still good. You know what I mean? So, but this album is really really good. It's Good to Be Alive. This is really good. Sometimes he went a little too disco-y for me, but this, it's Good to Be Alive. It certainly is when you're listening to DJ Rogers, man. So anyway, guys, that's enough for tonight. I think your homework is good. If you want to get some good soul music that you never thought of, or you passed up on things like this, and you want to go back and say, "Oh, let me see if I can find that record that I passed over when I was digging." Pick those up. Pick some of those up. Ashford and Simpson, DJ Rogers, and of course Jason Isbell. I'm sure you didn't pass on that. Anyway, have a good evening, and I'll see you guys on the Rachel's Ghost Show at some point. And keep listening to good music. It's important. Maybe I'll do a little needle drop of Ashford and Simpson's early work.
just let it go.